Brilliant. So thank you very much, Andy, for joining us in the Confucius today.
It's a great pleasure.
We're very glad to have you in the Roundhouse. And may I start by asking, have you ever visited China before?
So the answer to that question is yes, several times. Actually, my first visit was in the late 1980s when I was a student, just finished actually, and myself and three friends travelled from the west of China right across to Beijing and then back overland to the UK. Quite an experience. And at that time, everybody in China had a bicycle. And when I went back some 20 years later, it felt like everybody who had a bicycle then now has a car. And so the country had changed almost beyond recognition. It's incredibly impressive how China has evolved over the last few decades. Fantastic.
Well, I'm impressed that you have you know China so well and also started to know China so early. And you know that our the partner of Confucius Institute is South China University of Technology, and they specialize in physics, engineering, those hard science. And as a world-renowned physicist yourself, and I'm wondering, what do you think of Chinese research in science in general?
Oh, Chinese research is absolutely fantastic and is on the rise still. You only need to look at a few of the university rankings and subject rankings to see how China has transformed itself into a giant in science and in engineering in particular. One of my first ever paper was written in collaboration with a Chinese researcher who was studying with the same institute as me. And he has now gone on into the Institute of Physics in Beijing and is a very distinguished scientist. And I'm still very proud of our connection with that individual. So it's really, just as his career has blossomed, so too has the career of many Chinese scientists, really at the forefront of science and engineering. It's a fantastic story. And South China University of Technology, of course, is part of that rise with all of its patents and impressive work, particularly in optoelectronics and other areas. So it's a very impressive institute for us to be partnered with.
Thank you. It seems that you have some friends to visit
Yes.
when you next go to Beijing.
Many, actually, and some very happy memories in China. I went to a wonderful conference in Hangzhou, which I know is famous in China as a very beautiful and romantic place, and I have very happy memories walking across the bridges over the lake. So it's not just a scientifically interesting place, it's also a very beautiful country to visit too.
That's wonderful. So, as you know, in 2010, Lancaster University applied to establish a Confucius Institute in partnership with South China University of Technology. And what I had in hand actually is 34 pages of the proposal back in October 2010. And it's really amazing to see that over past 10 years, this proposal has been developed into today's structure and with all the Roundhouse, and now we have become a world-winning institution with global and local impact. So, and also we now deliver kind of teaching and cultural activity in Lancaster, Carlisle, and Blackpool. So on occasion of the 10-year anniversary of Lancaster University Confucius Institute, do you have a message to the Confucius Institute team and also to our Chinese partner, South China University of Technology?
I certainly have a message. It's a message of huge congratulations on the success and growth of the Confucius Institute. It's interesting, you and I were discussing earlier how the expectations and the scale of what was envisaged all those years ago have been surpassed by the reality, and it's been wonderful to explore the Roundhouse and to hear the stories of people who've been changed and influenced, those Chinese students who found a home away from home here. I think that might have been one of the starting points, but what's blossomed out of this is the deep connections that people in the community, as well as students who are not from China, our UK students, our other international students, have been able to experience through the Confucius Institute and that cultural exchange. So much more than a home away from home, a chance for others to experience Chinese culture. And I think particularly impressive is the way that we've gone out through the Confucius Institute to the towns around us and provided that cultural experience for school children who might not otherwise visit such an exotic place. And it's also been wonderful to see the connections through the art. And we've seen earlier some of the art connections, and that idea that there is a cultural exchange at an artistic level, exchanging not just language but ideas, art and accomplishment, as well as scientific achievement, which is the sort of bread and butter of scientific collaboration. So my huge congratulations to the Institute. It's amazing what's been achieved in 10 years, and I look forward to the next 10.
Thanks, Andy. I'm very proud that my team has also been playing a very important role in all the entire process and the cultural diversity and the multicultural environment on campus and also in the local region as well. You have probably previously mentioned a bit, but we want to focus a bit more. In your view, why do you think it is important for the students and others to learn Chinese about Chinese culture and trying to understand China more generally? And how do you think that the language and culture can contribute to the success of the university?
Well, that's a very big question, and I think part of the experience of being a student at a university is to be exposed to different ways of thinking, different cultural ideas as students inform themselves and start to develop their own basis for their life and their future. And so the exposure to different ideas, different cultures is really important. And the Confucius Institute plays its part in two respects, because for our students who are not Chinese, it's the chance for them to experience a different culture, to understand it deeply. And there's something beautiful about the connection that comes through a language, and that understanding the language is a way of understanding how that thought process develops in a different culture. So that's an important part for our students. But I think just as important, it's our Chinese students who come with us, 2,000 or more students visiting and studying with us. This provides a great home and a confident place where they can recognize the culture from which that they can go out and explore what it is to be in the UK. And so that meeting of cultural minds is, I think, at the heart of the Confucius Institute. And that's absolutely vital and at the core of what we do as a university.
Thank you. And you know that Lancaster University is a very young and very successful university. And many of the Chinese students and colleagues are really impressed how Lancaster has achieved today in such short period of time. What do you think is the secret of Lancaster's success? And do you think international engagement, especially our engagement with China, play a role here?
Absolutely is the answer to that. It's an extraordinary story of success, actually, when you think that this university is less than 60 years old and yet has risen to, well, in the Times League table is now 122nd. We've never been as high as that. And why is that? Well, much of it is about the reputation earned in that short period of time. And that reputation is a global reputation. And I think not many people realise just how internationally leading Lancaster as a university is until you see the league tables, and then you ask, where does that come from? It always touches me greatly that whenever a new league table comes out, particularly an international one which is speaking to Lancaster's success, I often get our students, and it's often our Chinese students, writing saying, well, many congratulations, and we want to be yet higher. And I think that it's that's helped us achieve a sense of ambition, a sense of pride and confidence in what we do as a university, not just the teaching and education that we do, but the research at the very cutting edge of all of our disciplines, whether it's in the management school, first in the UK for research power in the last ref, the best place to study management strategy in the world. These sorts of accolades are so fantastic. And then you combine that with our world-leading physics, the stuff we're doing on linguistics, our sociologists. I mean, there's so many more things one can talk about. It's building that reputation that has established this university really as one of the world-leading places to study, and such a great place then for the world to come and study with us.
Yeah, before I joined Lancaster, I was also very much impressed by how we have been achieving this success in such short period of time. Every time we have visiting scholars who came here, they also ask the same question, how Lancaster achieved all of this. Yeah. And also, it's important to note that as well, Lancaster University is one of the earliest universities in the UK who started the engagement with Chinese universities. That can date back to 1970s, which at that time, China, that's way before China was reformed and opened up. So that's really amazing. Yeah.
I think those long-term partnerships are the things that matter. We haven't come late and last to this party. We've been always at the forefront of innovating and doing new things. And I think those are the things that pay dividends, actually.
Yeah. And as you know, currently Lancaster University have 2,000 Chinese students. And how do you think those Chinese students contribute to the university life?
Oh, well, they contribute massively. I think it is what makes the campus feel like a truly global community. Not just the 2,000 Chinese students, we have students from all over the world, but certainly our Chinese students form a core part of that student community, and actually staff community too. We have many Chinese on the staff as well. And I think bringing those different ideas together, as we talked earlier about that meeting of minds, meeting of cultures, it's at those interfaces that some of the new and exciting ideas often form. And often our students then will go on to do great things, whether they return to their home countries or whether they stay and make their lives in a different country. It's the fact that they've experienced that range of different ideas, been challenged in their thinking, that is what I think animates them and their careers to follow.
Yeah, I think the Chinese students also came here to learn quite a lot about the culture, and also they very much enjoy the campus kind of life, the metropolitan and friendly kind of environment in Lancaster. And at the time of we are doing this interview, many Chinese students have already received an offer from Lancaster University, and they were in China at the moment. Quite a few of them and their parents are very concerned about the pandemic and studying abroad in such an era of uncertainty. What kind of message do you have as a Vice-Chancellor to those Chinese students and their parents?
So I can completely understand why people might have those concerns, but I think the interesting question is how have our students experienced the pandemic and what is it like to be at Lancaster? And one of the great strengths that we have as a university is that campus experience, that students arrive in a very safe environment. During the course of the pandemic, we were able to keep students safe and well despite what was going on around us. And I know that China and the UK has had a very different way of seeing the pandemic play out. But I think students can be very confident that they would arrive in a safe place which will support their studies, protect them and keep them safe from the pandemic. And we hope very much that this stage of the pandemic has really faded away now, and that our students will be able to experience a very normal sort of pre-pandemic experience as a student. It's a safe campus, it's full of people now enjoying campus life, and I think that's rather special about Lancaster. You're not immersed in a bigger metropolitan city, but you're able to decide for yourself how much engagement you want to have with the city on our doorstep.
The safe campus message, I think, is very received by many parents of the Chinese students. So that's probably to them is the most important thing when they considering about funding their children's study abroad. And finally, to a very recent success, on 3rd of June, which is next Friday, is the China's Dragon Boat Festival. We usually celebrate this with dragon boat race and rice dumplings. And our 2020 Lancaster University Confucius Institute Dragon Boat team has formed by the Lancaster University students, staff, and the Confucius Institute staff, celebrated by winning the 2nd place in the Northwest Confucius Institute Dragon Boat Race. And right on your left is the cap and the ring. And we managed to beat our traditional competitors in Liverpool, Manchester, and Newcastle. So would you like to take this opportunity to congratulate our team?
I very much would. What a fantastic achievement to come 2nd. I understand it's the best we've ever done, and it is a tremendous achievement. And I understand our team did so with only a little practice and against teams that perhaps had been practicing more significantly than we had. So I think it's a great achievement. Wonderful to see the cup there and to hear of the success. And I think it's very fitting that on the 10th anniversary of the Confucius Institute, we should actually have that success in so many other things, including the dragon boat racing. So it's a wonderful, wonderful achievement, and you and the team are to be congratulated.
Thank you. We will make sure this message is being passed to our team.
Good.
And so thank you very much, Andy, for your time and your thoughts and your visit today. We look forward to welcoming you in the Roundhouse in the future, and perhaps next time for a tea.
Wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. It's been
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.